It's 6:30. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Item 3 on our agenda, we have an Arbor Day proclamation that I will proudly read into the record tonight. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-saving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual reward. Now, therefore, I, Kim Leonard, Mayor of Peachtree City, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Peachtree City, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. This 17th day of April, 2025. Thank you. And it is my understanding that from the city's gift, every elementary school will be planting a sapling on Arbor Day to celebrate. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have 2 individuals signed up to speak. The first speaker is Jeff Williams.
Hello, Mayor and council leaders of Peachtree City. My name is Jeff Williams. I'm a 30-year resident of Peachtree City from the Interlochen subdivision. I've been playing pickleball for about 4 years, and I wanted to share what myself and others believe is not just the need for more courts, but a real revenue opportunity for our local businesses and the city with a large pickleball facility. These projections are myself, and having played a lot in other locations, our experience there, and also personally, I've got a 40-year background in the business world, a lot of new marketing projects, market development, product launches and stuff. So doesn't make me an expert, but I know a little bit about trying to project new business opportunities. So hopefully you were provided with a spreadsheet. Sorry for death by spreadsheet, a lot of numbers there, but wanted to look at a couple of things. The top set of numbers looks at municipalities close to us, how many courts they currently have, and how many players they see per day. And this information was gathered from the local presidents of those pickleball clubs within the last 30 days. So this is very fresh. And then you look at what we could do in Peachtree City with an 18 to 24 court facility. And if you project about 250 people playing per day, a percentage of those are going to come from outside Peachtree City. In this case, the projection is 40%, and then a percentage of those are going to spend money while they're here, because I do it, other people do it when they're out playing elsewhere. They're going to get gas, they're going to have lunch, they're going to do some retail shopping, might pick up some hardware, etc. So you project at about $1,400 a day of new revenue to our businesses here in Peachtree City, and that's about $500,000 over the course of the year, so a lot of money there. The second piece, which is a huge moneymaker in other municipalities, is holding tournaments. If we had 3 tournaments a year, we could expect, I think conservatively, about 450 people to attend those tournaments. Players sign up and they play more than one day because they want to play more than one event. And projecting here, about 60% of those people would be from outside Peachtree City. And trust me, if we marketed a pickleball tournament in Peachtree City, people from all over would come. I mean, this is a magical, mythical place, right? People want to come here and experience it. Just in spend over 2 days could be close to $81,000 over the course of those tournaments. And then people are going to need hotel rooms, because if they come from 2 hours away and have to play 2 days, they're going to have hotel rooms, and these are all adults primarily in hotel rooms. So, and there's also a profit opportunity from the tournament itself. It costs about $75 to sign up and play in a tournament. So if you look at the totals, about $684,000 annually, that's about a $3.4 million revenue opportunity for local businesses and the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next person signed up to speak is Steve Brown.
Mr. Brown.
Thank y'all. Y'all finally got me frustrated enough to actually show up at the meeting. Normally I yell at my computer when I'm watching you on video, but I had to do this one in person. I've been attending the UDO meetings, and it's very discouraging when they have nothing in their meeting agenda packet for the meeting, except for the minutes for the previous meeting. Then they display documents up there that I don't have, can't read the monitor because they're so small, and they have resource materials. They keep citing these resource materials. The public has no access to these resource materials. Come on. They call it a public meeting because you're supposed to do this business in public. Supposedly, there's a chat board or something like that where they're having unified discussions on work that they're talking about, and I don't know how that doesn't violate the open meetings law. I mean, what are we doing? And UDO is not the only one. Look at your committees. Go look at the agendas. Go look at the meeting packets. Nothing in them. How do you expect the public to know what you're doing and show up and make an informed comment at a meeting when they don't have any of the materials? I mean, we've done this since I've been here for 30 some odd years. We've always supplied the material. We've always encouraged debate. We've always encouraged community input at meetings and whatnot. This clock here is one of the most obnoxious damn things I've ever seen. I'm so disappointed y'all still have this, and that you allow 3 minutes for 10 people out of 39,000 people to speak. But for the council member who is sicking the dogs on Eric Imker, I think it's really bad. It's a black eye for the Planning Commission and the UDO committee to have somebody do your dirty work and then they sign themselves off as a Planning Commission member and as a UDO committee member in the newspaper. Not very nice. Eric Imker has probably forgotten more about government than you've ever learned, and he does not deserve that type of treatment. He has never said a foul word as long as I know about you, and I don't know why you would send the dogs on him in the local newspaper. That's really sad. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you change. We used to have great discussions in Planning Commission meetings and in committees. We used to invite the public to come in. We used to have big crowds. Used to supply all these materials. Matter of fact, when I was mayor some 20 some odd years ago, we actually gave awards to citizens who complained about something that caused us to do something differently to improve the government. We actually gave them an award for that because they forced us to do something the right way. Think about it, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no additional speakers.
Agenda changes, council?
No.
Minutes. A, March 20th, 2025, City Council meeting minutes. B, March 20th, 2025, executive session minutes. C, April 3rd, 2025, City Council work session minutes. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of A, B, and C from March 20 council minutes, March 20 executive session minutes, and April 3rd city council work session minutes.
Was that a motion to approve?
Second. Okay, approve.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. quarterly reports, first quarter 2025. This is posted on our website, and it's an update on what every single department of ours has been working on and what they're doing. Council, any questions or comments?
I have quite a few, but let somebody else go.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll be a while.
Go ahead.
I went through this. I love these, by the way, these reports that you put out. I really do. I like the visual of it, but it also gives me some information which makes me go, what's going on here? Or also giving a shout out when it's appropriate. And I'm looking at, the first one I'm looking at is engineering. And I see that the Huddleston Road Sewer and Path Project issued requests for design proposals. Does that design proposals include all the utilities that are gonna have to be changed on this? That would be a question that I would have for the city manager or whomever.
It would. I mean, yeah, part of the design is going to be looking at where the current utilities are and what we need to do with them.
Do we
if
have
they
any?
need to be moved.
That's fine, I expected that answer. Do we have any timeline on at least getting these designs done? No timeline at all?
We haven't received the RFPs back yet.
Okay,
Once we have the RFPs to come to you to award the contract for
Okay.
the bidder or the proposer
when are they expected back?
this month.
This month.
Yeah.
So we've got about a week or so.
So I mean, you
Okay.
might see it on the May cycle.
And I noticed also on the engineering that we issued RFPs and received proposals for city facility ADA compliance. Is there some detail behind that?
That you all approved that one
Right.
last month, 2 months ago. That's for the ADA transition plan that is now required through GDOT to stay eligible for state funding.
Now,
So
there's
we-
transition plans for the carts to go and walkers to go up and
Well,
down from sidewalk to
When you hear
paths.
that word, you think that, but the transition plan actually is transition into ADA compliance.
Okay.
For not only roads and streets, but all our facilities as well.
Good, thank you. Gonna switch over to the financial administrative services. I noticed that, first of all, a shout out to the Peachtree Aquatic Club. And as you all know, they gave us a $150,000 grant for helping us out to get a boiler for the swimming pool. So a shout out to them. That's a substantial amount of the cost of that. So thank you, Peachtree Aquatic Club. What I'm looking at, though, is the financial side of this, that hopefully you've got some ideas or give me some understanding. I see that we have, revenues have come in so far at about, for the whole year, in the first 6 months, we've got 70% of the dollars have come in already. And you're expecting the rest of that, the 30%, to come in the next half of the year? Or are you expecting an excess amount coming in?
No, that's just because property taxes come in at one time,
Okay.
and that's our biggest funding source.
And on the other side, on the expenditure side, we've only spent 41% in the first half of the year. So that's 59% more to be spent. We have the projects to expend that to keep everything in balance?
Yes. Yeah, we're still putting CIP projects out to bid. We've been down some positions, but yes, I expect us to come in under budget because that's always what I want to do. But yes, I want to be close to budget. I don't want to be way under
Okay.
because we asked for what we needed.
I'm going to switch over to the police and fire. It's great to see that in the police side, we've had third year in a row of crime, Part 1, going down. So kudos to you, Chief, that's going down. But what I do see is the golf cart accidents in the first quarter and injuries in the first quarter, but I don't have anything to compare that to right at the moment. Comments?
I don't have the year-to-date data with me, I just have the raw data that's in this report.
Okay.
I can get that for you.
Well, maybe next time. In the case of the fire, I've had firsthand experience with the rescue service of the fire department. You probably all know, I was quite ill, and the fire department did an absolutely, I'll say that word twice, absolutely fine job coming in, taking care of me, getting me over to the emergency room and making sure I got the kind of care I needed. So again, shout out to the guys in the fire department and EMS. Last but not, I think it's, oh, I got 2 more to go. In the case of the planning and development, and I see that we are down to 0 new home permits in Peachtree City for the last quarter. Is that a trend around the area, or is that just something here?
I can say that we have not done research to see whether it's in the area, but if that's something you would like to, have more information, I can research that.
Yeah, I'd just like to see, compared to last quarter, last year was 13, year before that was 35, we're now down to 0. Not that I'm proposing new homes to be built here, it's just interesting that there are absolutely none. It's 0.
Well, and there will be, so that just comes down to, did developers pull permits or not? And we knew it was gonna slow down because Crestwind has been
Right.
built out, Everton's been built out. So we knew that was gonna start slowing down. We have Towson still going, Mill Farms has kind of started. So there's still a few that have been approved that will be pulling permits at some point. But I think part of the reason the trend you're seeing of it slowing down is that we haven't approved any major developments or annexations or anything like that in the past 2 years or so.
Okay, thank you. We went through an awful lot on this council to put in a short-term rental program and ordinance. And we gave a lot of leeway to the people here in the city who had short-term rentals. At the time, we thought it was 98 of them, but I don't know what the actual number was. Right now, we've just got the first quarter, only 29 short-term rental permit applications have been given. Were received. 29. On top of that, we've only had 8 issued. To me, we put an awful lot of work in that ordinance because we had a lot of people talking about it, and we actually bent over backwards to make it relatively lenient so our citizens who run those businesses can have a business. And now I see this kind of number, I'm wondering what's really going on. Were there really 98 places available here for short-term rental, or has something else happened? Just a question. I don't know if anybody's got an answer to
Well,
it.
I know we've visited some of the ones we know that were registered,
That's correct.
and we know some of them are not going to file. Like some of them have just decided not to do it anymore.
There are some who've contacted the office for the rules. We've given the regulation component. They've decided not to move forward with those.
So some have decided not to do it anymore, and we'll monitor that to make sure they actually aren't.
That's correct.
And then other ones, they're kind of getting information, going through the process.
Right.
But yeah, those are the ones we've received.
And have we found out why they decided not to get a permit? Because they came here in droves, speaking to us months on end, and now all of a sudden, no one's coming forward to get a permit. Did we miss something, or are they saying, oh, I don't want to pay the fee, or what the story? What is their story, or why they're not
I can't
pulling
say
a
they've
permit?
given us a necessary reason. I just know that we are required to give inspections to these sites, and I know that that has been a conversation, that inspections were concerns. So I think they felt that it would be best just not to move forward with the regulation requirements.
Wow. Okay. Public Works. In the Public Works, by the way, a lot of good things going on in the Public Works. I really enjoyed it. But one of the things that I've been pushing for is making sure we have the signs up for the villages. We used to have them up, and now we've still only got the one, I think it's at Braylon, I think is the only one that's available right now. Is there any update on that? On when we're gonna get the rest of the signs going in?
Well, there's a few. So there's the Glenlock, Braylon one on South Parkway.
Yep.
There's all the Kedron ones. There's a bunch of Kedron ones on 74. And then there's the Aberdeen one on 74. And then there's the Industrial Park one too, which is, it's there. It is a SPOS project. One of the SPOS 2023 projects is for new village signage, which would include potential new sites for signs, or
Was it 23
older.
lost? It was a 23?
23
Yeah,
SPOS.
okay.
That one, I think number one, I wanted to wait on a transportation advisory group to be formed to actually have them involved in that. Because I don't know, the design of signs like that, I didn't want that to just be a staff thing. I wanted to get citizens involved in it, get you all involved in it. But as of right now, too, we're pushing a lot of other projects. We're pushing a lot of recreation. We're pushing a lot of these other SPOS projects that we prioritized. So that one has not, in y'all's retreats.
I know it didn't
It
rise
is a
up the
project.
list.
We will get it done at some point, but it has not been risen up to get it done
I
now.
just know we've talked about this since I've been on council for 3 years, and it would be nice to have some kind of conclusion to it. But anyway, let me move on. Last but not least is tourism, and we're 15 months away from the World Cup, and when the World Cup comes to Atlanta, it's, from what I understand, it's going to be 2 million people coming here. That's a lot of preparation that we need to do ahead of time to make sure we can accommodate them, not only in the hotels, but I would think in the restaurants and in the police and the fire, et cetera. 2 million people are not all going to come to Peachtree City, but it's going to be in the area, and there's going to be quite a few people coming here. Has there any preparation been done on the tourism side for preparing for this?
Yes.
I see heads shaking yes. Okay?
Yes. Tyler. Tyler has been, number one, talking with the FCDA because they've been on top of it too with U.S. Soccer. So he's been talking with U.S. Soccer. He's been also talking with other CVBs in the metro area, especially on the south end, about, packages for hotels, who's going to get what, how are we going to do, like, are we going to, will there be shuttles that, that the World Cup provides from various hotels and stuff like that. So yes, that is all being discussed. And FIFA is, sending out stuff as well. I know beyond our tourism, our public safety, fire and police have been involved with discussions regionally already too, with what FIFA has for their plans and, what everybody's going to need to do, or if we're going to need to send people, to various locations outside of Peachtree City to help with security or with safety. So, yes.
Well, good. I just don't want us to get caught flat-footed. And I mean, with that kind of people coming in, with that number of people coming in from around the world, I want to make sure that we're prepared because we're going to get an overflow, no doubt about it. It's only going to be in Trillith and in Atlanta. They're going to be coming down here. They're going to be staying in the area. So we just need to be aware of that and prepare for it. I know it's 15 months from now, but still, preparation is always good. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have two things.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Holland, I have your answer.
Yeah, there was one
Oh,
more.
thank
with
you.
FIFA.
The golf cart collisions for the first quarter of 2025 was 11, as
Right.
noted in the report. In 2024, it was 8. And the injuries were 3 in 2025 and 5 in 2024.
Oh, so it's going down.
Yes.
That's good. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Ms. Brown?
Okay. So for engineering, I guess it says 10.2 miles of streets were swept. In a quarter, that seems like very little.
We just
Is
got the
there-
new street sweeper in. Like, we ordered a street sweeper 2 years ago. We finally got it. And the old street sweeper was really, really on its last leg, so we were not really running it that much until we got this new one. So that number is going to go up. And I know, Jonathan, we're actually thinking the street sweeper program may be moving to our roads crew in Public Works, our streets crew in Public Works, and they're going to actually work on a routing, they're testing out different routes right now to make it more efficient. So
Okay, 'cause
that is being worked on.
I mean, in that particular issue, obviously, if you sweep the streets and get the debris up off the streets, it doesn't go down the storm drains, it doesn't cause you a whole bunch of other headaches.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that. The police report, Chief Moon, is there any way, like, with the crime statistics that are being reported on here, that we could actually put the real numbers in? Because when it says, like, just as an example, it says, it's down by 9%. But does that mean it went from 100 down to 91, or does it mean it went from 300 down to 270? Over a quarter. If we could actually have the real numbers, I think that would make people understand, how safe we really are, hopefully.
We can look at that going forward.
Okay. For planning and development, my question, oh, no, he already covered the short-term rental, never mind. And then on public works, under grounds, I'm a little kind of confused, and I had heard somebody complain about this earlier about a month ago, and that was the removal of a lot of trees in the middle median on 74. Was there a reason why so many trees were removed, and then we had to plant so many shrubs? And, I mean, is that the most cost-effective thing, or was there a specific reason why the trees were removed?
Yeah, we had our new ground supervisor, Robert Hilsheimer. When he came in about a year or two ago, we wanted to look at efficient maintenance of the highway medians. Because they're GDOT medians, but we maintain them. Because if GDOT maintained them, they would get mowed maybe once a month or something like that. So we maintain them, and our crews do have problems, especially with the medians that have a lot of vegetation in them as far as bush, shrubs that are, up to your waist. And a lot of those medians, and that one especially on 74, those medians, those bushes were right up on the curb. And so every time they had to trim them or do anything with them, we had to shut lanes of traffic down.
Okay.
And the way he designed, so he was tasked with design a new median. And it was budgeted in the budget this year to do one median and see how it looked and how the maintenance is with them. And the biggest thing was too is, plant native, like plant some native things that are native to Georgia and that are gonna be low maintenance. So we didn't want any shrubs close to the curb. We did wanna do grass because, believe it or not, grass is actually pretty efficient for our crews to do because they're already out there, and it takes them 5 to 10 minutes to mow one of those medians. So it's a lot more efficient to us than doing mulch or a lot of pine straw or these big shrubs that we have to close lanes of traffic down to trim.
Okay, it was, when I read it, it shocked me because there's like 27,000 square feet of sod. But if that is the most efficient thing to maintain, because all we have to do is mow it, then I understand that. It's a little shocking to read that. And just for anybody who doesn't have the quarterly report in front of them, within that quarter, 38 deer carcasses were picked up. That means 38 more people or more had an event with a deer. Just another issue that I just want to keep hitting home for you. And that's the end of my comments on that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I did have one actual. I was curious about, going back to the short-term rental. It says 29 short-term rental permit applications were received, 8 were issued. The other, is that 8 included in that 29? Yes. And so for the other 21 applicants, are those still in process?
One of the challenges that the short-term rentals are having, there are certain fire rules, and I'm not going to speak on that, but there are certain fire rules for fire extinguishers. They're having to purchase those, so that's what one of the delays are for those. So if I can speak on that, that's the only thing that's kind of holding up most of the ones that are in progress. There's another that he's waiting for them to exit the home for the inspections as well.
Has anyone who applied decided to redact their application? Or are they all still in that process?
So code enforcement visited most of the homes, and once we have these conversations, they've decided not to move forward and stop. There has been maybe 2 that I'm aware of that once they've applied, they've decided not to move forward. And again, that's because they've decided that the rules may have not been something they could comply with.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? All right. Consent agenda item A, Police Department Evidence Storage Solution from a SPLOST. B, Police Department Digital Radio Replacement, SPLOST. C, Marywood Lane Stormwater Pipelining. D, Fiscal Year 25 Budget Amendment, IT Software Consolidation. E, Resolution to call for special election. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent items A through E.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Old agenda items, we have none. New agenda item 42503, Station 85 Project Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So what I'm presenting to you tonight is part of Splash Project number 10 for 2023. It is staff's recommending that we contract with Morgan Mill Consulting for project management for Station 85 in the amount of $102,000. We contacted multiple consulting firms trying to get a project manager, a owner's representative. Two of them sent back a proposal with pricing, and we chose Morgan Mill because they have extensive recommendations, and they also are the lowest bidder.
Two good reasons.
Any questions?
Yes, I do have one, unless someone else wants to go first. Okay. Did you get what you wanted out of the project manager to manage it the way you want it so you get the results you're looking for at the end?
Yes, sir. I actually met with him in person, and feel he's very qualified. And then I actually contacted a few of the places around that he has actually done work for. So I'm one of the ones that got some of the recommendations, and actually people that I didn't get formal recommendations actually said he does a fantastic job and is on top of things. So I took that as very good.
Good. And he happened to be the low bidder at the same time?
Yes, sir.
God, that sounds like a win-win.
Any questions? Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, can I get a motion?
Be happy to. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve new agenda items 042503, Station 85, Project Manager, for $102,000. Did I have that number right? For $102,000.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing, 42504, variance request to allow a 6-foot fence in front yard, 422 Dacker Drive.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is a variance request for property located at 4022 Daker Drive. The request is to allow for a 6-foot fence in the front yard. Okay, as you can see here, the property is zoned for LUR 15, limited use residential. The applicant seeks a 2-foot variance to exceed the 4-foot max requirement that we have for the fencing that faces a right-of-way. Code enforcement came out to have a visit for the property. NOV was issued to inform the applicant that a permit was required for the fence that was installed. She provided a narrative in her application that is attached in your information, as well as there is no recommendations for conditions here in the staff report. So to give you a little illustration of the property, as you can see, the first photo up top is the photo from the front view. You can see that the fence protrudes a little to the left of the home. And then you can see the photo that is the side photo as well as the rear photo to give you a little bit more illustration as to where the fence lies on the property. Okay, so according to our code, section 18 that identifies the rules for fencing, any fencing that is along a right-of-way has to be 4 feet. The code that identifies that is identified as 18165E. It identifies that a front yard that faces within a right-of-way must be 4 feet. If not, excuse me, it could be 6 feet if it's along the green line there. I don't know if you can see that from your screen, but if you have a visual, I can probably point it a little, there we go. So within this red line here is where the fence is located, and it's not within the proper location because that's where it's protruding a little bit more here. If it was to align along the same boundaries of the home shown in green, it would have been allowed to remain at 6 feet. Once it protrudes out, it must have a 4-foot frontage. Again, this would have been in section 18162 that gives that, where it says a line along the front. Principal gives a front identification of what a front line would be. Okay, and here you are with the variance requirements. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Before we go on, we thank you. I was getting a little worried about my own memory. We jumped right into staff presentation, but let's hear that public hearing protocol.
Sure. So when the public hearing is open, members of the council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. City staff has already presented the request and provided an assessment of the compliance of the code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. The mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Then the mayor will recognize those opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of either or both sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended, and the council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, is the applicant here this evening, and would they care to share some comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Rick Lindsay, I'm here representing the owner of the property, Ms. Yee, she's right here, and her mother who lives with her is 2 seats over. As was stated by staff, they live at 422 Dacker Drive, which is in the Everton Creekside subdivision here in Peachtree City. Ms. Yee purchased the property back in June of this past year. It is in the LUR 15 zoning district. And as was shown on the video, or the pictures, it is a corner lot. And so I know technically we talk about it being a front yard, but I think most lay people would say that's the backyard. I know it goes beside side view, but it's the back of the house, not in the front of the house. So I want to make sure that everybody understood that. I also want to make it clear that Ms. Yee did not cause the problem. She hired a contractor before the house was built. In the bill that was presented to her, part of the bill was the price for the permit fee. She paid that in full. The fence was put up. She moved into her house. All that was done before she purchased the house. And then she didn't know until she received the citation, or the notice of violation rather, from the code enforcement that the fence was in the wrong location. And the reason why she needs a 6-foot fence, she has a little dog who loves to jump. And the little dog can jump more than 4 feet. The dog is kept inside the house and many times in a pen that's 4 feet tall, and the dog routinely jumps over it. When Ms. Yee's mother is there by herself, she would not be able to go out and get the dog, so now with the dog be in the street. Soundview, if you'll look at the map, I don't know if we have it, can get back to that, is one of the main thoroughfares or main roads out of the Creekside subdivision. So there are a lot of cars that go back and forth. The location of the fence is up on top of a hill. And as you saw, again, if we could put that picture back up, thank you. You can see that it's very far up. It doesn't present a nuisance. It surely doesn't prevent any safety hazard. Ms. Yee had the yard landscaped. I mean, everything's fit, so it all looks nice together, and I think that is shown on the photographs. She has the support of her neighbors. I know a couple of neighbors have sent letters in. She has some other neighbors that are here tonight to speak in favor of the fence being in the location where it is. There are the criteria the council is to look at when it is considering a request for a variance, and I would submit to you that she meets those criteria because, again, she was not the person who caused the problem, and she would not have bought the house had she known she couldn't have a 6-foot fence, again, because of her 2-year-old dog. The special circumstances, again, because of the wrongful action of the contractor was unknown to her, and the 6-foot fence is a requirement for her to have the dog in a safe location in her backyard. Strict and literal interpretation of the ordinance results in unnecessary hardship. Again, if the council does not grant the variance, she's going to have to incur the cost for somebody else's mistake to move that fence. The landscaping to keep it looking nice is going to have to be revised as well. And again, as I stated a couple of times, she would not have bought the house on a corner lot had she known that she could not have had the 6-foot fence. Exceptional, extraordinary circumstances, again, same thing. She would not have bought the house had she known. And the topography of the property, again, is very high, so it's not like the fence presents that wall look that the city wants to avoid, and surely doesn't present any safety or other problems or concerns for the location of the fence. Again, she has support of her neighbors, so the grant of the variance will not materially be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare of the community, and the variance is not inconsistent with any of the objectives of the comprehensive plan. So again, we have an innocent person here. It's not coming in. She didn't put the fence up. So I want to ensure that council is aware of that. And she's the one that's going to have to bear the cost. You can say, oh, well, she needs to go back to the general contractor, but in my line of work, I know that's a lot easier said than done. You can get a judgment, hang it on your wall, and look at it every day if you want to put it over your fireplace. But collecting is a whole different ballgame. So for these reasons, and for the safety of her dog, the safety of her mom, we would request that the council grant the variance. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. May I see a show of hands of those who wish to speak in favor? Seeing none, may I see a show of hands of those who wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Council?
I guess I'll start. Shayla, if the fence gets moved to what was recommended, she can have a 6-foot high fence, correct? It just has to be in a different location.
Yes, ma'am. The green line that's shown there would be
Right.
where she could have a 6-foot. The red portion that's shown there is where it must be 4 feet.
Okay, so this can be remedied by the homeowner. Okay, so, I think the option is go back to the contractor, and if you can't get the contractor to do it, go ahead and do it. If it's as important as Mr. Lindsay says for the dog and everything else, it seems like the least thing that you can do is just correct it yourself. Move the fence. And that's it.
How many of these have we heard?
What? This is one, it's all by itself, Frank.
No. We have lots of housing problems where they want to have higher fences. We have lots
you
of
can-
housing
But she can have a 6-foot fence, Frank.
I know, I said
Okay,
that,
okay.
as long as she wants to move it. She's asking for the variance.
Right.
Mr. Holland, comment?
I'm going to wait and hear what the rest of the council says before I opine.
It seems like Frank was gonna say something. Were you saying something,
Mr.
Frank?
DiStadio, any comments on the variance?
I was
request?
just mentioning that, how many times have we heard the same argument over and over again? Fences are being put in without a code, without a variance or a permit.
Not a variance, without a permit. We've
Without a
seen
permit.
this.
Yeah.
And people come back and want to have a variance put in because either they didn't know about it or it was put in wrong. I, for one, am getting tired of hearing all that, to be honest with you.
All right.
I had a couple of questions for the applicant, if you don't mind. Well, and maybe one for Shayla as you're coming up. It seems like whenever there's a corner lot, there's also the issue of opacity. Does that apply here at all?
No, you said capacity?
Opacity.
Oh,
Like
no.
it has to have
Okay,
50%?
yes, so as long as it's there, it doesn't have to be the 50%. It goes into the 50% when it's closer towards the street on that corner
Okay.
for So as
Is
long
there
as
a
it's to the
distance?
rear- As long as it's to the rear on the back portion of the yard, that 50% does not apply.
Okay, and then, in the narrative, it says that with the contractor that there was a permit that was paid for, but I don't see any record of that here with the material that we've been given. Do you have a record that the applicant?
You mean a
paid
copy
the
of her?
contractor?
I thought I had included that in the application for the variance, but I do have it. I have it in my office, and I apologize, but I've seen it. It's there. She paid $200 to the contractor for the permit.
So they paid a contractor to
Correct.
pull that permit?
Correct,
And then they didn't pull it?
correct. And she had no knowledge that it had not been pulled until she got the NOV.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
May I speak to that, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the conversation started after code compliance had come out. So the permit, we did not have a permit on record for that. The code enforcement had a conversation. They informed them of the process. They came in and learned of the permitting rules, and they applied for it at that time. So there is a permit on record today, but after there was a conversation of the NOV first.
Correct, and that wasn't Ms. Yee that came down, was it? It was the contractor who came down, is what I'm...
The contractor is on record as the applicant, correct?
Correct, right. He came after the NOV was issued.
Correct.
Right.
So there is a permit on file for this fence at 6 foot?
Yes, since the applicant was informed of the violation, yes, because the fence had been constructed, a notice of violation was issued, they came in to apply after that.
They applied, and did they receive a
No.
permit?
No, ma'am.
No.
I see.
Okay.
That's
I
why
see.
we're here.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Ms.
Have you gone back at the applicant? Rick, you want to talk? Have they gone back to the contractor?
Yes.
And-
But at this point, the decision was, we'll ask for the variance, and I certainly haven't contacted the contractor yet. Believe me, I will if the council doesn't grant the variance. But again, in my line of work, it's easy to say, we'll go get somebody to do something. It's a whole different world to actually make it happen.
Understand. But we should at least make the contractor know that he's in violation of our ordinance.
Correct. That has been made very clear by Ms. Yee. And I believe probably by the city staff, as I see a grin over there.
It still boils down to the fact that the homeowner can solve this problem by moving the fence and does not need a variance. She can have a 6-foot fence. She just has to move it to the appropriate location.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
not a basis for a variance.
Mr. Holland?
You know, having been on the council for now 3 years, we hear this all the time. It wasn't my fault. The dog ate my homework, or whatever the case may be, pointing in the other directions. It's not my fault. Well, actually, it is their home, and the homes of other people that we've talked about that have had problems like this, not exactly like it, but like it. Our job here on council is to uphold the law and what the ordinances are. I look at this as a civil matter, not a governmental matter. You want the government to solve your problem when the problem really is a civil problem that needs to be taken care of, okay? It's not a government problem. So in my opinion, I agree with both Frank and Suzanne that the homeowner needs to take this and get it fixed. Move it to where Shayla has, the director has said we need to move the fence in line within the property. And I think at the same time that that's something that either the original person who did this, the builder, the contractor, has to come and fix it, or it's going to be incumbent upon the homeowner to fix it in order that they keep within the ordinance for this particular property and this fence. So I'm in agreement with DeStadio and Brown that this needs to be fixed and in order for it to stay.
All right, any other comments? Can I get a motion?
I'll make it if you'd like.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to deny this variance, and should they go and fix it and come back here or get it approved, then fine, that's through their, keep it within the ordinances, but the motion is for a denial as it stands right now.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second for denial. All in favor of the denial, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Denial carries. Council staff topics?
I have a
Justin.
few.
All right.
Okay. Let me pull it up, Jasmine. I wanted to mention, because we won't meet again until May, that April 21st through 26th is Georgia Cities Week. GMA puts that out every week for all the Georgia cities, and we participate in it. So we have, I think we posted it, but it'll be in the slice and be in our social medias and stuff too. But there's something we have every day that week. We have a touch a truck at the library one day. For Earth Day, we're distributing some seed packets. Wednesday, this coming up Wednesday, we have our Peachtree City 101 graduation. So that's great. Thursday, we've got the coloring contest. Friday is Arbor Day, which is when they're going to plant the trees at the elementary schools, and then capping it off on Saturday, we have Hops and Props at the commemorative Air Force Base. So it's going to be a packed week next week. Next week, right? That's next week? Yeah, okay. And then only other one I have is that Chris Hobby, our assistant city manager over here, he got his affirmation that he is now an ICMA credentialed manager as well. So now y'all have 2 ICMA CMs on staff. So we're proud of him for that. And yeah, so with that, that's all I got.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a few things, but Laura, do you want to go?
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything? Okay. Okay. I think we're failing to communicate with the public and be transparent. And the biggest example this week that I have is when it came to my attention that the UDO agenda packet only contains the meeting minutes from the prior meeting, but none of the information about the items listed as discussion items. So there were working slides presented at the meeting, yet none of that was included in the agenda packet about any of these items. Resource materials that they are referring to are not available to the public. Citizens are being told to pay for an open records request to get access to the materials that the UDO committee is using as presentation and resource material. So placing a burden on citizens by making them pay for access to materials being used by a committee that we have appointed is a disincentive to stop citizens from asking for materials. Plus, a response for an open records request could be given to a citizen well after the date and time of the meeting. So I think we have some corrections and repair work that we need to do with regard to the UDO, the agenda packets, et cetera. Any comments about that from anybody? Because I think we need to bring the issue
Is this the
up.
only one
Follow the
coming
law,
up?
don't we?
What about?
Not having the stuff in the packet?
No, there's other things that don't have enough stuff in their packets too. but-
There isn't any question that we're following the law.
Okay.
Justin, can you speak to that,
I'll
please?
let that speak to it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you just have to publish an agenda,
Right.
is what the law requires.
Does it require a packet, a whole packet?
No. But there's best practices. I mean, you typically have items to go with your agenda items. There's some information to go with the agenda items. What does the law require? It requires an agenda be published.
It doesn't tell you what has to be included other than we're gonna talk about dogs. That's all it's gotta say.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't make a lot of
That
sense.
doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay, so then what's the other issue though with the UDO chat board that they have where they're communicating with each other in a back channel kind of a way which if they're,
From my understanding, they're allowed to have written communication with each other, just like you all do with emails and.
May I ask you a
As
question,
long
Ms.
as
Brown?
as long as it is held in storage, as long as we have it available to provide to anybody who requests it, they're allowed to have written communication with each other.
May I ask you a
that
question, Ms.
correct?
Brown,
It's-
for clarification? What do you mean by back channel?
then it's not open to the public, like, it's like if there's a lot of communication going on behind the scenes and if it's getting to the point of decisions being made and stuff before it's even being brought to the public's attention what they're talking about. That's,
But I mean, I'll say they do have, like, they have sent messages to each other. They have a group that they post stuff in. I don't think, like, there's not any real chat going on.
There's no conversation other than there's files that's been uploaded that are actually on our website. It's sections of our code. They may say, hey, take an opportunity to spend a couple of days reading this section of the code. There's no conversations.
Was there any voting?
Yeah, there's no back and forth
Okay.
that I've seen. Because I did review it. I reviewed it. Mr. Brown brought it to my attention. I reviewed it, went into where they were. And yeah, there are files and they have them available if anyone requests them. But there's no decisions being made or back and forth in that I've seen.
And I
Well,
do,
And those records are available to anyone who requests them as well.
Let me make this suggestion. How much trouble is it to put those discussions?
Right.
What's the question?
The question is, how much trouble is it to put those discussions up where people can see it?
Yeah. We
I
can
mean,
do,
this is,
so,
Justin's not wrong. Council has communications amongst each other via email. I've seen that. We've all seen it. These discussions or sending out documents and so forth that you're referencing is going on, I mean, put it out there. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I think that eliminates the question.
and that's fine. And
So
I,
what you, wait a minute,
Yeah,
make sure I
that solves the
understand.
transparency
Yeah, I
problem
just
right
wanna-
there.
You're trying to have transparency by putting up information prior to the meeting so that people can read it and then maybe attend the meeting and discuss what is on that paper that's been published.
Yeah,
Or documents that have been published.
Right.
Is this gonna be on some kind of website, or is it gonna be
Yes.
on?
So I will say
Planning
this.
Commission's website or something like that?
I will say this, the UDO committee actually met with us,
Last Friday.
like, two of them met with us, last Friday, and they did, like, one of their objectives that they listed out to us is they want a web page. I think I got with you on it, Jasmine. They wanted a web page on our website to post everything.
Oh,
So they had asked last week
That solves the problem.
That's,
to post this stuff,
That
that'll
solves
work,
the
then we can
issue.
go from that and see what
so
comes out of that.
When will that happen?
Jasmine's our webmaster.
yeah, I was out on vacation last week. I do
Yeah.
That's
apologize.
So
That's
Jasmine
no
was-
excuse, Jasmine.
We'll be taking care of that. And I also did want to add too, documents that are readily available. So the first 15 minutes of information is free for anyone to request. And I don't believe we've received any requests for that, but if there's items that are readily available, we're usually able to provide them if it's not taking hours and hours of time. And for the most part, we have lots of requests that come in that we're able to process relatively quickly at no charge to residents to ask for.
Because I can say after reviewing this, there aren't many messages. So if anyone did request this, it would be very easy.
Yes.
Good.
all right. Anything else?
Yeah, we got a communication from a woman who was the administrative variance applicant for a hearing that was conducted last week, and she expressed a lot of frustration in her email. Hopefully you all read it, because the administrative variance meeting time was changed from 2 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and she was not notified of the time change. And she took time off of work and came in, and the meeting had already been conducted. And, I mean, as I look at that, it's inexcusable for us to advance the time frame of a meeting without making proper notification to the applicant and ensuring that the applicant can, in fact, make the changed timeframe. So, I mean, this is just, this just does not look good, in any way, shape, or form, that we're, scheduling. And we had so much trouble with the administrative variance issues over the last year and a half, and we thought we fixed it. We have very few that actually go through the administrative variance committee, application process. And so to have this one, which is one of the very few we've had, hit the stone wall where she comes in and the hearing had already been conducted, and there were things that she wanted to bring to the attention. So I'd like to know what we can and what we are doing to
We've already-
remedy
Yeah.
this and make sure it's not gonna happen again, because I don't
So,
want the
yes.
public to
That
think.
was a breakdown of communication on our part, so yes, I will take that. But what we are doing is we've already reached out to the applicant. We're rescheduling another admin variance meeting with the council person that was on that decision. We're gonna have her come. We've already reached out to her when she can come. And even though a motion was made and a decision was made, we're going to hear her out, and it's gonna be advertised like the meeting's gonna be a real meeting. So if a motion needs to be made to reconsider anything, we will do it. But she has agreed to come back in and let us
Can I
hear.
speak to this?
Yes.
Because I was the one
'Cause
who
it's
was
you.
there. Yeah, and so when I found out that she showed up And then we got the email. I responded to her that I would reach out and rectify it. Justin happened to not be on that email, but I called Justin and I said,
I had no clue.
yeah, he didn't know about it.
I had no clue.
I didn't even realize that when
Well,
I
that's
read
what
that.
she-
Yeah, no, I had
Because
to
they all
look,
come
'cause I
in
thought
usually to
Justin-
everybody.
Councilwoman Johnson called me and she said, I'm calling you about the email. I was like, what email?
Yeah,
And then
so,
she realized,
I mean,
she's like, oh, you're not
absolutely,
on.
any citizen, if you have an admin variance and you're waiting weeks to go in there and you take the day off and you show up, absolutely, I was looking to get that rectified. We set the date today,
Yeah.
Good.
and I will be there, and we'll make sure that she is heard.
Just a quick point,
Well, can I say one more thing?
sure.
Sorry, Councilman. And we have made sure, I think, because the miscommunication was between the clerk's office and the planning office, we have made sure that that is rectified and that will not happen again.
Yes, that's right.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Well,
All
since
right,
it's, I got one more comment. Since it's gonna come back and you have to reconvene that meeting, is that a Robert's Rules of reconciliation, or what's the proper term on that? Reconsideration has to be brought up so that you're following the rules,
Yes,
so that you can push that one aside and start afresh,
yes.
because it is an open meeting.
It's a reconsideration.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anything else?
Nope.
Anything else, Ms. Brown?
Do we have any update on what's gonna happen with Drake Field Pavilion? Because
So,
I'm sure the citizens want us to address this issue.
Dave, do you want to speak to it?
We had our structural engineer inspect it, and he is supposed to give us a report this week for a temporary shoring plan so that we can get it back up to speed for the summer. And then from there, we will explore the permanent fix. So we should have that this week.
Okay.
It's a temporary shoring plan.
Well, I'm
Can I-
gonna address
can I-
the elephant in the room.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go
Can we
ahead.
just let's let her make her comment?
She was stumbling, so I just thought.
No,
I'd-
I'm-
Well, no, I'm
I
trying
wanna
to
do
gather my
this.
thoughts on this. This pavilion was built, the lumber package, as, with the research we've done, the lumber package was changed out. This is the second time since it was built in 2018 that we're having to do repairs on this.
6 years.
I think there are 2 or 3 options. One is we tear down the improperly built structure and we do something that's the right way, or we continue to throw good money after bad into the bad structure. And I think that when we finally get the cost estimates, we're gonna have a come to Jesus moment about what is the best decision and how we're gonna go forward with this. We all know Drake Field is one of our premier areas where events are done, things are held, concerts, night markets, all kinds of events. And to find out that the structure that's there within just a few years because of the I shouldn't say shoddy construction, the shoddy choice of lumber is probably what's resulting in what's happening right now. And you can put just a certain number of Band-Aids on an amputation, and then you realize you're still bleeding to death. And I think that we have to look at that in a very realistic manner. And that's probably gonna throw us into a tizzy because there's no budget money anywhere for that. So I'm sure Kelly's sitting over there going, no. But, I mean, we're gonna have to have a hardcore decision on what we're gonna move around and jockey around and where the money's gonna come from. And, potentially from one area of recreation to another. And we've already got a long list, a shopping list of recreation issues that we're trying to deal with. I think this is a serious thing. I think we're gonna have to fix a lot of stuff. It's not gonna be easy, and it's gonna mean putting other stuff off for a while, I'm sure.
As long as there's not pickleball.
So says you, Frank, you gonna go play pickleball? Okay.
I said no.
I mean, I'm very not happy about this whole entire issue, and I think, I'm not alone on this.
I think
So-
you gotta remember, who made those decisions?
I know full well who it was. I have it right here in my notes. I could read it out loud. It's there for anybody to see in the March 15th of 2018 City Council meeting minutes. If anybody in the public wants to go and read it, the lumber package was negotiated down by the former city manager.
Agreed.
And that's why we have the problem we have now potentially.
All right. Anybody else?
I have one other issue.
I've got one too. Can I add on to yours, Suzanne?
Go
before
right
we to a
ahead,
different
because it's
issue?
a hot one. Yeah.
One of the things that I thought of about this structure in Drake Field was, Suzanne is right. Putting good money after bad is probably not the right thing. And by the time we fixed it once, fixed it twice, fixed it 3 times, we spent an inordinate amount of money. Would it be a smart move? And I know everybody's going to raise their eyebrows, and when I say build another structure near it, do it the correct way with the correct materials, tear down this one and make it a stage that just has a barrier around it, so you've now got 2 structures within the field, because we've had enough things going on in this city that there's no reason why you can't have 2 stages. The main stage and a side stage which doesn't have any cover on it. It's just basically an open stage that people can do performances on. You can have a band in the middle of the summer on a hot day, things like that. So just a suggestion that maybe we ask Kelly to see if she can print more money for us so we can build a brand new structure there and knock the other one down and make it as just a stage. Just a thought, instead of chasing and fixing, just build a new one. Just a thought, everybody.
All right, well, we'll look forward to getting those engineering assessments and taking it from there. Any others?
I do, but I could wait and let somebody do something so it's not just the Sue Brown show.
Well, going back to
Or I
Drake
can-
one more time though, I think for us as staff, knowing that y'all are open to more than just possibly fixing or trying to fix that pavilion is good to know.
I think we need to look at the alternative. We need to look at everything, all the alternatives. It's-
Absolutely.
It's the same way
Absolutely.
with everything else that we're building, it's like,
But we still want to shore it up for the
You know,
summer too, temporarily. Make sure we can.
better A or better B.
Right.
I have
Okay.
one other thing
I
to
got
talk
one
about.
too. Can I go?
Unless you want,
Mine's a short one.
if you want to go ahead and
Mine's a
then I'll
short
come
one.
back.
I just want to make sure we go on the record about the hockey rink. I know that we've done some structural work over at Drake Field. Have we yet accomplished the structural work to see if we can use that rink closed in completely so that you can HVAC the building so that the hockey can be used year-round, hot days in the summer, cold days in the winter? And I know that the structural engineers really got to take a good look at that. I know it was done many years ago, I don't know, 10 years or so ago. It really needs to be looked at again to see if the wind load on the side of that building can handle it without having the structure get damaged.
We plan to. We're going to. We're going to
Good.
get them out there.
Good. That was the short one I had.
All right. Anybody else?
Okay, back to me then. Or are you sure you have nothing? Okay. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I forget the exact date, Stacy sent around to all of us a photocopy or a picture of the legal notices that was posted for 2 public hearings that the Board of Elections is having. And both of the hearings are very germane to all of Peachtree City. The first issue that's going to be a public hearing, and the public hearing is going to be held at 5 o'clock on Tuesday night, April the 22nd, which is this coming Tuesday. And for the record, I'm going to go and speak as a citizen. But I want to kind of outline a few things because I think we really have some sort of a need to discuss it, potentially there's not enough time for us to really put something together and deal with it, but I did get some of the updated numbers with regard to these issues. So what the first proposal that they're saying that they want to do, this is the Board of Elections for Fayette County, they're proposing to combine 2 precincts, the Windgate Precinct and the Camp Creek Precinct. Both of those precincts vote at the Evergreen Church. The current voter registration lists for Windgate Precinct says that they have 1,062 voters, and Camp Creek has 2,061 voters. If those two precincts are combined, that's going to mean there's going to be 3,123 voters in the combined new precinct. They have not discussed what they're going to call it, but that's well below the 5,000 voter threshold maximum that they don't like to cross over. So this is something that they can definitely do. By combining the two precincts, that would actually reduce the number of county precincts from 36 to 35. That's an advantage for the Fayette County Board of Elections because that's one less precinct that they have to staff and man on election day. It's also an advantage for us because we've been having two separate poll managers and polling locations within one building at that one facility. So we've been paying for two polls when we have our municipal election for election day voting. And by having the combined precinct, we would only have to have one poll manager, set of poll workers, and equipment, et cetera. So it would potentially mean a savings for us. I think that this is an advantage for Peachtree City that they're actually going to go ahead and do this. I don't think it's going to be any severe impact on the actual voting on election day at the precinct. I worked at that particular precinct as a poll watcher in November of the general election this last November of 2024, and everything went very smoothly. I went back and forth between the two poll locations, and there was no big issue there, so I don't see that it's going to have a negative impact on the voters themselves for that. The next public hearing, does anybody have any questions about that at all before I go to the next subject? Because the next public hearing that they're going to have is with regard to Braylon Precinct and Oak Grove Precinct. I happen to live in the Braylon Precinct, so I'm very familiar with this. This is a situation where Braylon Precinct votes at the Braylon Elementary School. And if you don't know about how their setup is, it's really hard to explain, but the best way to say it is there's one door that you can go in to access into the gymnasium, and you have to cross a hallway that goes perpendicular to it that is a hallway with classrooms in it, and there are students in that hallway. So in the 4 years plus that I've been going to Board of Elections meetings, I can tell you that there have been many occasions where the poll managers, citizens, parents, the principal have all come to the Board of Elections meetings and have complained that it poses a danger to the children. The police department has been contacted for Fayette County or for Peachtree City to provide a police department or police officer to sit there and monitor the activities in the hall. But the complaints are still going forward. So the public hearing will be held on Tuesday at 5 o'clock again because they're proposing that the Braylon Precinct will actually move their poll location for election day voting to the Oak Grove School. Oak Grove School went through a big renovation a couple of years ago. They have a nice big gymnasium. It has its own dedicated entrance that they can put people going in. And the current proposal says that they're going to have Oak Grove and Braylon precincts together voting in there with two separate polls operating within one gymnasium. Kind of what they've been doing at Evergreen Church. Now they're going to do the same thing over there. I think that I've looked at the numbers. Braylon has 1,955 voters. Oak Grove has 1,430 voters. That's a total of 3,585 voters, which is also, again, well below the 5,000 maximum recommendation from the state. And so I think that it would be actually a good thing if they would just go ahead and combine those two and have all of them. They could combine the precincts. It would be very doable. And I mean, as a citizen, I'm going to go and speak to that. It would be nice if we could speak for it as a city council, since these are our voters that are being affected. And again, if we had them combine it into one voting precinct, that would save us more money because then we would actually have two fewer precincts that we have to support on election day. So,
Do we have an estimate of how much it would save us?
Jasmine, I don't remember. That's like a nebulous thing. They kind of talk about, oh, it's $9,000 for election day voting for the staffing and the equipment and hauling but I don't know that it works out to quite, it's not $9,000. It's, because some of it they pay, some of it we pay. It's like this floating number. So no, I can't answer that question. But I might ask them that when I go on Tuesday if they have any idea. I might not get an answer. But, so anybody who lives in any of these precincts that I've talked about, Wingate, Camp Creek, Braylon, or Oak Grove, who has an opinion about this or a strong feeling, I encourage them to go to the public hearing and voice their opinions, just like we have people come voice things here. You have the right to speak up if you like it or don't like it. And since I live in the Braylon precinct and I door knock in all 4 of these precincts, and I, as a poll watcher at both Braylon and Evergreen Church and whatever, I think I can speak from a position of knowledge and experience on this one, so I am going to go and speak. I do want to bring up another issue, though. Since the Board of Elections is going ahead and making these types of changes, which for the last 4 years they've been reluctant to make any such changes, there are a few other things that we as a city council really should put our heads together and look at and maybe make a recommendation to the Board of Elections. And that would be the fact that the Aberdeen precinct and Shake Rag West precinct could also very easily be combined. Aberdeen has 1,959 voters and Shake Rag West has 1,344 for a total of 3,303 voters. And Shake Rag West is the precinct that votes at the Peachtree City Library on Election Day. Aberdeen is just across Highway 54 from that. So those are 2 precincts that could also be combined. Again, in the long run, every time we have an election and we have to fund the election for a municipal election, if we have one less voting precinct, that's less money that we have. I can't tell you the exact amount, Frank, it hasn't changed. But it is something that we should talk about because we do have the ability as a council to discuss it, and I think we should put it on an agenda for a future discussion. We can discuss it and send a letter as a council to the Board of Elections and ask them to consider doing something like that. But there's an even bigger thing. They should also consider splitting Kedron Precinct and Sandy Creek. Now, Sandy Creek is not really affecting ours, but both of those precincts, just so you understand how this works, Kedron Precinct right now has 6,824 voters. That's the largest precinct in the county.
Which one?
Kedron. That's primarily because of all of the additional houses from Crestwind and Everton and all of the housing along McDuff. All of those people are in the Kedron precinct. That exceeds the 5,000 voter recommended precinct size. So there are some things that need to be looked at, whether we need to try to help our voters, because it's really easy to sit back and say, oh, it's not a problem. You can't predict how many people go to vote on election day, and I worked in the Kedron precinct. In fact, Kedron precinct votes at George Dillard's church, on Highway 74.
Part of it does.
I worked there as a poll worker back in 2023, and I can tell you straight up, there were times when the line was way out the door. So, the numbers really do impact how many voters are turning up on election day, and if they get frustrated because the lines are too long and walk away, you've now, because of the long lines, you've disenfranchised a voter. So I think that that's something, in order to protect our citizens, to make sure that we are helping them, because the average citizen doesn't focus on this, they don't know the rules and regulations, they don't know the laws. I think we need to look at what we can do to make sure that we divide that precinct in a more appropriate way, whether that's moving a small amount to another precinct and just making them both conform. Hopefully, if Crestwind and some of that area is totally built out now, and we know it's not, there's a few areas that still have the capability of building more housing. But I don't think it's significant. So I think 6,800 well exceeds in Kedron the threshold of 5,000. And I think that that's something we should talk about and ask the Board of Elections to work with us on that, to help us solve, on behalf of our citizens. So I'd like to see it on an agenda. Who agrees?
I concur.
There you go.
This is the first I've heard
I
of all
know,
this.
because I
would
only
like-
got the numbers like today.
I would like an opportunity to get educated. I would like an opportunity to get some answers from the Elections Board. I'm not in a position to put something on a city council meeting agenda until I can get familiarized with the topic.
But we don't have a
Suzanne,
lot
I
of
would
time,
be-
we don't have a lot of time to waste on that though, so because.
Yeah, I'm not arguing there, but I definitely want an opportunity to take a look. This is the first blush for me.
The other, I do want to mention one other hot topic thing with that, with the elections, just so everybody focuses on this. Although this is a municipal election year, there is also a Public Service Commissioner election this year, which means when we actually go into Election Day in November, it's not just going to be the municipal precincts that are voting, all the precincts will be voting. And we have some technical issues that we're going to have to ask with regard to if it's going to be properly on all one ballot, but we need to be able to know which precinct to tell our citizens to go to, their municipal precinct or the general election precinct, because for thousands of voters, that's two different places. More than 2,480 voters, in fact, have to vote in two separate precincts, whether they're voting in the general election or a municipal election. So we need to find out the answers.
Suzanne, I would certainly support putting it on the agenda at an appropriate time, but I think the mayor is right. We do need to get a little bit more information before we can say, yeah, let's put it on the agenda. But let's get that out to everybody, if that's okay with you we're putting kind of the burden on you to send it out to us so that we understand what it is you're
Do my
talking
best.
about,
I'll get with Jasmine.
okay?
She's
I
the other.
concur.
Thanks, Suzanne.
She is the other one that jockeys around the numbers in the election things.
You jockey him around?
Well, somewhat, she does. I think she's more knowledgeable than anybody else on the city staff with regard to the election regulations.
All right. Anybody else, comments, topics?
No.
No? Do we have executive session?
We do, Mayor. We need to discuss real estate in executive session.
Can I get a motion? Real estate, can I get a motion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session to talk about real estate matters.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.